right, guys, welcome to another episode of Fan Spectrum. We're talking all things LA Clippers today. We got my guy Double A in the building as per usual. I remember the real deal Montiel. We got a big Clippers fan in the building. We got my guy Norman here. Definitely excited, man. I know Clippers are doing it big this year, man. First time in 50 years in the Western Conference Finals, dog.
Yeah, 51, I think 51.
It is. How you feeling, man? I know Terrence Mann, that dude was man.
He was that man, bro. He was that man.
Yeah, he was.
Bro.
He was tearing
He
it
was
up.
that man, bro. You know, like, I don't know. Honestly, dude, I still, it still didn't even hit me until like the next day, bro. Like, it's. I just, you know, just watching the Clippers all these years, I just expect everything to go wrong every single time.
Actually, I was about to say, what was your thought process when y'all won Game 4 and then you heard Kawhi was going down, potentially out for the whole season?
That's a good question,
bro. Oh my God, bro. It was one of the worst feelings, bro. Because like, it seemed like we had finally figured out the Jazz. You know, we had everything going for us. And then, you know, Kawhi's like, oh, I'm fine. And you're like, okay, cool. He's fine. He's not on the injury report the next day. And then the game's about to start. And like, hey, this fool's not playing. And you're like, oh.
Right. But then you see Paul George do his thing and like,
bro, I've been trying to tell y'all about playoff P, bro. Like, that's not fake, bro. Like, the dude is on a mission, bro.
Right. Hey, he was like young. I thought he had a Pacers jersey on for a second. I was tripping out.
Dude, honestly, dude, for real. He was doing it all, bro. Like, and I said from the beginning, like when we first got Kawhi and PG, I was saying that, you know, PG is the most important player because, you know, he's the guy. He always seems like he kind of needs to be in a rhythm to get it going, you know. And Kawhi just is a robot. He just gets it going when the team needs it. He's there for the shots. But you know, PG, I feel like he needs to be in a rhythm. So I always thought he's the most important person to the offense for the Clippers, and you can see it. You know, he plays good and we get it done, you know?
I agree. I definitely think the most impressive person out of that whole team has been Tyronn Lue, man. I think that dude, you could definitely tell the difference between that bench just feeling that energy, you know, the defensive schemes they've been doing. Even in the Dallas series, like, you know, they were struggling against Boban, but then they switched it up and they made him look silly afterwards. And I just feel like Tyronn Lue is definitely the big key factor from this playoffs, and you know, compared to what Doc Rivers has done in the past.
The key thing is him just making those key adjustments. Like I remember in the Maverick series, he went from, I don't remember who was guarding Luka at the time, but he made a switch to, he was like, you know what, let me just put Kawhi on Luka, and it slowed down Luka. He still got his like 30 and 40 points, but it wasn't like those first two games where he was just going out of control. And it was the same with the Jazz. Like he just made some great adjustments, you know, and he had guys like Mann stepping up big time for them.
Yeah, and like I don't think if Doc Rivers was coaching, I don't think Terrence Mann would have had a game like he did. And I think Tyronn.
Bro, I don't even think T-Man would have played.
Right. That's what I'm saying, man.
You know, like, you know, I like. It's tough for me, bro, because like on the one hand, you know, I really respect Doc Rivers, you know, as a man. Like he's one of the best like leaders in the NBA. He's such a good speaker, especially last summer in the bubble with all the Black Lives Matter stuff. He was such a good voice, you know, having a black coach,
right?
Like with a voice like that and you know, everything he did for us when the whole Donald Sterling incident, he was there and he kept the ship going, you know. So like it's so.
I agree.
I just think he was just too stubborn, you know. Doc was always afraid to go away from things that worked during the season. So, but Lou is one of those guys. He's like, well, you know, this ain't working. Let's try something else. And I really appreciate someone who can admit when they're wrong and just kind of try something else. You know, like if you're gonna lose, at least lose. You know, trying. You can't do the same thing over and over again and expect different results.
What do you expect out of this series, man?
This is honestly, bro, this is such a hard series. Like, this is going to be one of those, like, if Kawhi doesn't come back, I don't know. Because the thing is, these guys, we don't have nobody to contain, like, the second guy. Like, this game right now, Cameron Payne is lighting us up because we're doing everything to keep Booker from scoring. But If the other guy beats, it's like Terrence Mann in that Jazz game. If the other guy beats you, the other guy beats you. You know, it's hard to when you don't have your two best defenders. It's hard to.
And Chris Paul's not even in the mix yet. So I mean, that's definitely another aspect you guys got to look at. And it's like, I personally think if you slow down Devin Booker, you definitely have a chance to. I mean, how often are you going to see Cameron Payne really do that?
Right, going off, right.
And that's the thing with the Clippers, that they always seem to find ways. I feel like the Clippers are not a 1-game team. They're more or less like that 7-game team. Like they definitely view you and make use of all those games as if it was like them in the opening play-in series. I don't know if they could have made it, but I definitely see them as like a 7-game series type team. And I definitely think the series is going to go
because of the adjustments they be making. Like, I mean, watch. Look at Ty Lue's going to look at these 2 games. He's going to be like, you know, what went wrong? You know what I mean? And he's going to go back and, you know, make changes. And like you said, I think you said before, he's not afraid to just, you know what, scratch this. Let's try something new and see where this goes. The thing with the Suns, I don't know. The Suns got a lot of firepower, man. Especially when Chris Paul come back with Bridges and Payne and Booker, and even don't sleep on Ayton too. Ayton's a pretty good scorer down in the middle.
But I like to say, man, I don't think Phoenix has really played a decent defensive team. Like, you know, the Lakers, they're not a defensive team. And then you had broken down. You had a broken down. They played 2 injured teams per se, and now a third with Kawhi out too. But I just don't think Phoenix has really played a gritty defensive team like the Clippers.
I just think, I don't know. I think Phoenix is like, even though they have a worse record, I think they're just like a better version of the Jazz. Honestly, like they have. I mean, Ayton is clearly a step up above Rudy Gobert on the offensive end, at least. You know. Chris Paul, I'll take Chris Paul over Mike Conley every day. And, you know, Devin Booker, he's that man, bro. Like, he's just like, the thing about that impresses me about the Suns is that they're kind of a young team, but they just have that poise, you know, like I feel like they don't get rattled like the Jazz do. Like the Jazz, it seemed like when the Clippers would go on runs, the Jazz would kind of like recoil. They'd be like, whoa, what's happening? Like we were up 20 points and now we're panicking, but it doesn't seem like Phoenix panics, and I think that's a Chris Paul thing. I think he has a big influence. Also, I think Monty Williams has really like stepped on that team, bro. Like they're a different animal. Like, and I think it's a tough challenge without Kawhi. I don't know. It would be nice to steal this game. Like I always thought they had to steal 1 game in Phoenix, but I know they've done it twice already this playoffs, but coming back from 0-2 against Phoenix, it just sounds a lot harder than it did against the Jazz and the Mavs, you know? Like, especially without Kawhi. Like, and Kawhi was having one of those just great runs, and just for him to get hurt like that, like.
Do you think if he were to come back, it'd be hard for him to get back into it, or you think he's just right out the gate, like just gonna fall out?
I don't know. It's tough because, I mean, Kawhi, I guess it depends on how much he trusts his own body, you know, because Kawhi, you know, that jump shot, and he's been dunking on fools, and I don't know. How does he trust that knee, even if he comes back and is healed? Like, does he trust that knee, you know, like, and how much is that in the back of his mind when he's going up to score or when he takes the jump shots, you know, like, how much is the injury lingering in his mind? But I think just the presence of Kawhi on the court would do a lot. You know, you can't sag off Kawhi. You can't.
And he's just he's another great defender. I mean,
he's a beast, man. Like
he is, man. Like
I think if he does come back, I mean, whether he has one leg, I think he's still gonna dominate. Like he's still gonna be dunking off fools, because he's a robot, man. He can defend. He can make clutch shots. He's not afraid of the moment. You know what I mean? His teammates trust him. Like, even if he's hurt, he's gonna play through that plane. Like, I think we were talking about it before. Like, he got hurt. When he got hurt, he walked it off, man. Nobody knew that was that serious of an injury. And he just walked it off. Like,
Yeah.
He's just a man's man, bro.
Yeah, it's true. And 2 years ago during that Raptors run, he got hurt during that Philly series, and he was notably limping, but that dude was still that man out there. He was still out there killing them. So
I think he really wants this more than he did with Toronto and San Antonio, just because he's an LA kid. I mean, him and Paul George are trying to do it for the city and to do it with the Clippers. With that first ship with the Clippers. I mean, I just don't think that man's gonna hold back.
What if he comes back and somehow the Clippers win the championship? Where do you see him against like LeBron?
Honestly, for me, Kawhi. The two things for me that keeps Kawhi, I think, out of that conversation, I need to see him win a regular season MVP. Like, he deserved it in 2016, I believe, right when he got hurt in Golden State. He was absolutely the MVP that year. I think he really deserved it. And then I don't know, like. Kawhi, it's not like really a knock on Kawhi, but his teams have been so good, like those Spurs teams, that Raptors team was practically built for Kawhi. And even adding him to that Clippers team that took 2 games off of Golden State with Durant, like, I mean, LeBron has been on some bum teams, man. Like, LeBron has played with some absolute bums, and he's gotten them. So, like, he got to the finals, and his second best player was Jeff Green, man. Like,
that's a good discussion, man. Anything else you'd like to say, Norman, before we head out? Anything for Clipper Nation?
I think we can do it, bro. I think we can do it. Right there, man.
You guys are right. You guys are a couple wins away, man. I'm just saying.
Especially, honestly, bro. Especially once Milwaukee beat Nets, I was like, bro, it's right there.
Hey, I'm rooting for you guys.
Me too, man. Hey,
let's go.
Let's get it, Clippers. All right, bro. You have a good one, Norman, and it's the Fan Spectrum. Peace.
Thanks, bro.